I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you as always from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios. And this week's show is kind of a potpourri, or as we used to say down in the South, a potpourri of a whole bunch of different ideas, different things that I'd like for you to see. First up is something I've been waiting to get my hands on to get mounted on a gun. It is the Lucid Optics E7. It's the first reflex sight, enclosed emitter reflex sight with a blue reticle. Now, I saw this, and you saw some of it, from the Lucid Arms Ballistic Summit down at the Whittington Center last year, I think last September. But it's taken a while for these guys to get in the pipeline and get out. So before I got the E7, you remember I got a P8. Now that's a sight for a carbine. It's a 4X sight, 4X magnified sight. I mounted it on a Ruger small frame AR and have been very happy with it. I've shot a lot of 308 in both semi-auto, bolt action rifle, in competition, 3-gun competition, in training and hunting. So I got a pretty good feel for the guns. And from that standpoint, I thought the P8 4X reticle really does every bit as good a job as a low-power variable optic. But I wanted to see how the blue reticle would sit on a handgun. So I just got it mounted up. The reticle itself is what Lucid calls an M5 reticle, which is kind of like a horseshoe with a dot and then 2 straight lines underneath. The reason that Lucid has spent a lot of money, a lot of research and development into the blue color for an optic is, according to their research, the human eye can pick up blue 30% faster than it can any other color, red, green, gold. It's quick. Secondly, the way the eye perceives the blue is it allows you to dial down the intensity a little bit, giving it almost a translucent look, so you've got full on the target there. Also, blue's a calming color. Well, the reason they make stoplights red is it kind of hits that excitement part of the brain. It's red, whereas blue is like, it's blue. So I got this mounted up. This is a Glock G49. You saw it. It's the Glock that Glock should have made like a million years ago. G19 size frame, G17 size slide. I haven't started replacing parts in it, but I'm going to replace them all. So we'll get to that at some other time. But I wanted to show you this setup. Now, this sight came with a Glock MOS plate. So you could just drop it into an MOS Glock. They're mounting their optics system there. Compare that with this gun. This is one of my Uber Glocks. It is basically a G19, but I want you to look at the difference in sight mounting here. This is a case where the sight is mounted into the machine slot in the frame. And in this case, the sight is mounted onto the plate that sits in the machine slot. I am generally a very big fan of machining the slide for the sight and then mounting it directly, because you cut out the plate, which is another area of fail, and it's really easy to see how much lower you can set the sight. So I'm going to be shooting a lot with this blue optic. We're going to see how much I like it. I will say it's quick to pick up when you come up on it, and we'll kind of keep you in the loop as we continue working on it and as I replace every moving part in this gun. Stay with us.
You know the RIA 5.0 packs radically new innovations, but we didn't stop there. Introducing the RIA 5.0E. The E stands for enhanced, as in new optics cuts and plates. The updated barrel is crafted with improved materials and slide geometry. The look and feel is also enhanced. Plus, new lightning cuts show off the updated match-grade barrel. Experience the enhanced RIA 5.0E today.
Welcome back to Triggered, where after talking about the miracle of electronic sights, we're going to jump in our time-traveling DeLorean, go back in time to when all sights looked like this, iron sights. These, of course, are Rossi 38-357 revolvers. I just got this guy back from Dave Fink. I know I showed it to you really recently, and that's because I'm going to use this revolver in a gun sight class, and along with a lever action Model 92 38 357. And so for me, it's been kind of a culture shock of going back a little bit in time to say, okay, you've been shooting on a red dot, now it's time to go back to iron sights. And I've said this before, and it does appear to be true and consistent, as my friend Mike Ox talks about, who knows more about red dot sights than almost anybody on earth, that it's easier to go from a dot to irons than irons to a dot. But still, a couple of things I did really quickly with this gun was I really hate like white outline sights and black, whatever reason they had for doing this on Smith & Wesson, like in the 1920s, more power to them. I don't like it. So I had to ink out the white outline of the sight, and then because my eyes are old, I wanted something bright. I didn't have any fluorescent colors, but I did find a pink paint stick. So at least right now I've got a pink front sight. I've got some fluorescent pink coming because, fluorescent pink is just a stylish color these days. But some kind of fluorescent that brings my eye to that iron sight when I come out on it. I've also been working with this guy. This is the 6-inch version of the Rossi. Now it has not been to Dave Fink's, sadly, and it has a factory trigger, which is smooth but stiff. And so one of the reasons I've been dry firing with this gun is it's smooth but stiff. It's helping my finger get used to that double action trigger. And then it's a lot easier when I go back to, say, the 4-inch gun here with that perfect Dave Fink trigger in it. It helps. So I got that piece of advice, by the way, from Jerry Michalik, who has a Smith at the time. When we first did Jerry Michalik's series, Shootout Lane, he had a Smith & Wesson frame with a trigger and everything in it, and it was something like a 28 or 30 pound trigger. And no barrel, just the frame, cylinder, and all he would do is sit there and pull the trigger. And that's how you get to be the best revolver shooter in the entire world. So with these guns right now, I've been using the Armscore 158 grain full metal jacket. Obviously, I can't use this when I go to gun sight because that round nose bullet, it does not work in a lever action rifle. There's always a danger of a round nose bullet igniting the primer in front of it. As a guy who's seen that happen, as a guy who had to call the ambulance for the person who blew up the gun, here's my thought on that. Don't do it. When we come back, little guns. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Rossi. The legend continues. Stoger. Everyday Tough. Hunter's HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. MTM Case Guard. Quality shooting sports accessories. And Ed Brown. The best money can buy for over 50 years. Over the months, we've talked a lot about these Ultimate Carry snubs from Smith & Wesson. As you remember, I went down to Baton Rouge for the introduction of them. Daryl Bolke, Brian with a Y, Eastridge did a lot of the input along with the guys at Lipsy's Distributing to create an incredibly good gun. And I just wanted to let you know that I got a 38 special version and a 32 H&R version. And I've decided to keep this guy. This is the 432, which is a 32 H&R version. 6-shot 32 H&R. Very, very similar to my LCR that has been, to me, a workhorse of a pocket gun. Now, this is a 327. It is basically, a hotted up 38 H&R, 6-shot. However, I pretty much run it with 32 H&R. And the reason why is that in shooting cowboy, my sweetie, for like a decade, maybe more, has shot 32 H&R in her Ruger single action revolver. So we have lots of 38 or 32 H&R around, lots of components to make it. But the two guns are very similar, and before you even send me an email and ask, these are Hogue boot grips, which are the only grips that I actually like on the LCRs, because all the other rubberish grips on them, there's a little bit too much stuff on them. When we're talking about a pocket pistol, we don't want anything that's going to hang or drag on the pocket as we draw from. But this gun, I just wanted to remark again, This is a gun that I haven't found anything to dislike about. You know, I've shot it a lot with the drills, especially the DB reduced drills for snubby for pocket guns. I love these VZ grips on it. I love the XS sights on it. It shoots enormously well. I typically carry it with wad cutters. So it's a great little gun, and we'll be doing more and more with some of these snubs as we go along. Okay, that's it for this week, our potpourri, and you can find links for everything on michaelbain.tv, and you can of course see this video on YouTube, on Rumble, which is a much better place to see it because Rumble's a little bit more open to, what do they call it, freedom. Also on X, and gosh, there must be somewhere else, but in any case, I'm Michael Bain. We'll see you next week.